Hey everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology. I'm going to ask your forgiveness today for my very poor background as I'm filming this, but I was already set up for a session that I had done, and I don't have time today to kind of move everything over to where I normally film. So it's not a great spot and it's really boring, but please try and overlook it. I want to talk to you all today about the Gemini new moon that's happening on June 10th. And we have this new moon. Of course, it's coming on the heels of the full moon eclipse. Full moon eclipse was on the south node. This new moon is on the north node. So we should be ready to start building something new, right? Well, not quite yet, because Mercury, the ruler of this new moon, is in retrograde, right? Mercury rules Gemini. Mercury is only 1 degree off the new moon. So we're still not quite done releasing, unfortunately. And what I'm seeing coming up over the next couple of weeks actually is we're still working on releasing limiting beliefs that we have, and we need to get rid of those things before we're ready to move on to the next step. So we're still in the planning phases, but not to worry, because I think, once we get to the summer solstice, I think we're all going to get that kind of go ahead to move out of the planning and into more of the action, but we still have this little bit to go. Now, the Sabian symbol for the new moon is a cafeteria with an abundance of choices. So, this is telling us that the energy coming in, and really strongly, this energy is of manifestation, right? And what we're building, we have a lot of choice, we have a lot of opportunity with it. But the problem is, in our consciousness, or for many of us in our subconscious, we are limiting those choices. We're looking at that cafeteria and that abundance, and we're already like judging all the choices. We're excluding certain choices. And what we need to do is keep stripping back our beliefs so that we can open ourselves up to more and more and more choice and opportunity. That has a lot to do with Gemini. Gemini has the sign of the twins, is about understanding duality, understanding both sides of an issue. So when we're coming off the south node energy of Sagittarius, which is our beliefs, and then we shift our energy to Gemini, it's like, okay, let's look at those beliefs and let's really search for accuracy, for truth. Is that a belief system that we want to hang on to? Is it a belief system that's true? Is it something that's limiting us, and maybe we could take a little bit of a risk and try to move forward in some way? How do I want to say that? It's like you take a little bit of a risk, you step away from that belief system and just give yourself a little chance to experience something new. And you might find that, something comes up that's much more fitting. So remember when I did the video on the full moon, I talked a lot about how sometimes our belief systems, or not even a belief system, but just something that we come to hold as truth, is based not on accurate fact, but it's based on more like what happens to us, that kind of emotional reaction. And that's based on emotion, not truth. So we have to find this new state of balance with some of this energy. So, as I mentioned, Mercury retrograde is conjunct this new moon and is the ruler of the new moon. And it's on the Sabian symbol, a tumultuous labor demonstration. So, Mercury retrograde is very much pushing us towards change right now. And I feel like getting to the bottom of things, getting to the bottom of truth, and getting to the bottom of our authenticity and being able to speak our truth from our heart that's coming from our higher power. And also, it's about breaking through what has been for you, for me, that place of status quo. We all have this place in our life where we teeter totter back and forth. And I'm pretty sure I talked about this in other readings because this is part of our divine masculine healing. And we really want to move forward, but that doubt comes in, that fear and doubt. And so we're just teeter tottering back and forth, and it's like one step forward, one step back, one step forward, one step back. And we haven't been able to really just take a risk and just leap into something. Well, this Mercury retrograde really wants to help us do that. And we also, I think, are going to be really feeling like we want to move fast. We want to move to the next step. We want to get things going. But with Mercury retrograde, we just really have to pull back and wait. We have to be patient because the universe is aligning everything, and it will all happen just in the perfect timing. But as I said, we're still in this strategizing, planning mode. But Mercury is going direct on June 22nd, just after the summer solstice. And I feel that's when we're going to feel that wind beneath our wings that's helping push us forward. We also want to watch Mercury crossing the degree of the eclipses. And that's going to happen on June 12th and 13th and July 2nd. So you may want to just mark those dates down and watch the times near there. So just after the new moon, Mercury in its retrograde crosses the 19th degree where the new moon is. So something might be activated then. And then on July 2nd, in its forward motion, it crosses it again. So you may have completion of something that started at this new moon around July 2nd, or you may get some kind of aha moment or inner clarification about something that is not too clear for you right now. So Mercury, the ruler of the North Node, is something we've been talking about, but now we're going to switch to the ruler of the South Node, which is Jupiter. Jupiter is in Pisces, its home sign, as Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. And it's coming into a loose square with the nodes. It's not going to make an exact square right now because Jupiter is going to go retrograde soon. But I feel that the square is close enough to activate karma. And this karmic activation is very present. And a lot of that's going to have to do with the beliefs that we need to release. Because opposing Jupiter is karma, which is just moving into the sign of Virgo. And this combined with some other things that I'm going to talk about in a minute that's happening is really bringing up a lot of karmic energy. And some of this energy is going to be releasing from our DNA and our etheric bodies around this new moon and going into the summer solstice area. We're also going to be releasing ancestral karma as well. And so you really want to take care of yourself, focus on grounding, clearing your energy, cutting cords, getting outside, and you may be really tired too. So get as much sleep as you can. Once we go over the new moon, the kind of need for sleep may dissipate a bit, but with Mercury retrograde too, that's kind of playing into the tiredness energy. I also feeling like there's likely to be some high Schumann resonance, some high frequencies coming in from the sun, maybe some solar flares, that sort of energy around this time as well that can be also creating activations for this release. Dreams have been very prevalent too. I find that I dream more at new moons anyways. I tend to not be able to sleep at full moons, and I'm very tired around new moons. And the same, that time between the full moon and the new moon, especially like the week before the new moon, I may have a lot of dreams. And I've been having a lot of dreams currently, and people that I'm talking to as well. So if you're experiencing that, that's part of the energy. And a lot of it may connect to karmic stuff or belief systems that you need to release right now, too. Jupiter is on the Sabian symbol, a petrified forest, an eternal record of a life lived long ago. So, right there is another confirmation for me that this is stirring up some old karmic energies. But what I want to tell you is it's not just releasing of things that you don't need, but you're also tuning into skills and abilities from past lives. And these are being more integrated within us because we're going through deeper and deeper soul integration this year. So I don't want to give the impression that it's all bad, because there's going to be good things happening too. The thing to watch with Jupiter is, as I said, Jupiter's getting ready to go retrograde too on June 20th, the day of the summer solstice. So Jupiter will be stationed. Like I said, it's the ruler of the south node, and it's in a loose square to the south node. And then 2 days later, on June 22nd, Mercury goes direct. So for those 2 days, you're going to have Mercury and Jupiter, the ruler of the nodes, stationed. So again, you want to watch that time frame, because there's likely to be something very karmic happening, or some kind of, sorry, so I'm trying to think of the word that they're giving me, some kind of clarification. I just said the word a few minutes ago when I was talking about Mercury, and now it's like completely escaped me. Conclusion, some kind of conclusion to something that's been coming up for you since the Sagittarius full moon is what I'm getting. So that past life wisdom is coming through. Truth is probably going to be showing up somewhere too, connected to all of that karma and our belief systems related to that karma. Remember, a lot of that karma has to do with our trauma and our emotional signatures that we experienced in those past lives that have locked us into certain ways of being and thinking, that therefore become those beliefs that then limit us. Vesta is also opposing Jupiter very loosely. Now, I don't even want to say Vesta's opposing Jupiter, but Vesta is coming out of a square with the nodes. But what I'm getting, because Vesta is in the energy of Virgo, is she's still helping us purify kind of our motivations from the past, discerning truth, and activating us into service. Yeah, I'm just looking at the chart. When the new moon actually happens, it's a little bit too far past Vesta. Vesta's now at 15 degrees. The nodes are at 10 degrees. But, I don't always go by orbs. I read charts, I go by my intuition, and I use orbs usually a lot bigger than other astrologers, just because how I'm feeling the activations. It's not always as simple as when they have these exact degrees, that's when it happens, because there's like a buildup and a release of the energies. So let's start talking about the asteroid union too. And we have a few things going on with this. Well, Union and the asteroid Juno, which I've talked about several times, and I did that video on the asteroid placements for this year, that energy is going to be squaring Vesta. And what I'm being shown about the activation of the planets is we're really getting um, situated more in a state of balance of the divine masculine and feminine. Again, this is something that we've been working on this year, but there's something about this eclipse. A lot of it has to do with this union Juno aspect. Um, right now, there's some yods going on that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But it has a lot to do with the embodiment of our higher self too. That's the major trigger for this inner balance of the masculine and feminine. And yeah, so to come back around, there's something about this eclipse that's seeing us situated more in the state of balance. Some of it has to do with that Gemini energy that I mentioned, understanding the states of duality. And when you understand the states of duality, you're able to move out of the energy of duality, because all it takes to move out of the duality is kind of an understanding of that which is the opposition. Once you get that, then you're able to blend those two together. I hope that makes sense. What I feel happening at this time frame is the divine masculine energies within all of us is surrendering more to the divine feminine within all of us. As we talked about, that kind of back and forth energy, the divine masculine, as I mentioned before, wants to keep us safe and um, sometimes has difficulty taking risks. And what I'm feeling, what I'm getting right now is it has to do with having faith when taking that risk. If we look at Mars as our divine masculine, right? Mars is strong and powerful and wants to move forward on a lot of things. But when it comes to having trust and faith, then there might be some hesitation. And that's where the need to kind of surrender some parts to the divine feminine that allows for that jump, right? Because with this new beginning that's coming, we need to jump. We need to be the fool. We need to jump off the cliff and trust that spirit, God, goddess is there to catch us and help us land safely into what it is we're trying to create. So there's a shift happening with that. And that actually helps us balance the masculine and feminine energies within. So I'm talking about surrendering the masculine to the feminine, but it's not surrendering in a way that creates imbalance. It's surrendering more in a way that creates spiritual balance and spiritual balance with the higher self, or balance within that allows the higher self to integrate more within us. So when it comes to the twin flame journey, we're often searching for that part of us externally in our twin. But when we have an inner imbalance and we're searching for that, we're creating a neediness. And that neediness can energetic push that person away. So when we come into that inner balance, we're not so externally focused, and then the energy externally is not pushing, pushing, pushing. You could kind of sum it up as want versus need. Okay, so instead of needing that, and searching and needing to feel whole through that person, you start to feel that wholeness within yourself. You no longer need that person. You may want them in your life because of your deep love for them, but you don't need. And you're able to release and surrender that twin flame connection to a new level. And in this case, with the energy that's happening, when you do that, you may also be surrendering and letting go of some belief systems that are attached to how you're viewing this as well. Now let's talk about those yods that I mentioned. So the primary one I'm feeling is asteroid union in Sagittarius, and then we have Saturn in Aquarius, and they're going to form a yod with Venus in Cancer. What a yod is a sextile and two in conjunctions that make a point. And this is going to happen around June 10th. I feel not June 10th, June 12th is what I'm feeling is the strongest day for it. So the sextile would be union sextiling Saturn, and then Saturn in conjuncts Venus and union in conjuncts Venus. And it makes this point aspect in the chart. Now, what makes the 12th even more powerful is that the moon is going to be crossing Venus as well. So the moon will be part of that aspect. Then we have another yod in which asteroid union is the apex. And the sextile is Venus and the moon and Uranus Ceres, which are on an exact conjunction in asteroid Isis, is also playing a role there too. And then we have some other aspects in the chart. For example, we're going to have Venus conjunct the moon, squaring Chiron. We're going to have union in a trine with Chiron, as well as those in conjunctions and yods that I mentioned. So this is really bringing up a big release. I'm feeling whenever we have Venus squaring Chiron as well or opposing Chiron, we're connecting with that past life wound and something is being brought up, hopefully to clear and release it. With Mercury retrograde, you may find that someone from the past, whether it's someone from your past in this life or someone from another life, is coming back too. A lot of stuff could be triggered with your twin as well. Keep that in mind, because when we have these in conjunctions happening, of which union is a part, it's telling us that there's a misalignment with the energies. And in conjunctions generally represent something from our karmic past that is creating an energy that you can liken it to having an itch, and the itch is going to bother you, bother you, bother you until you scratch it, until you find a way to satisfy that itch. Maybe that's not the best analogy, but it's like you can feel like something isn't aligned. Now, this isn't going to be a hugely long transit. And probably, I'm going to say like the week between the new moon, or so like June 10th to the 17th is probably when you're going to be feeling these things the most. Again, there's a build up and then a tapering off. But something from the past is not aligned with what you're needing to do now. So it's like you need to make changes in your life to bring this energy into alignment. As I said, union is one thing. So when you're a twin flame and you're trying to bring your energy into union, you have to keep releasing that which is blocking you from union. And what my guides were showing me beforehand is like the idea of separation is really getting triggered. And when Venus squares Chiron, yeah, separation is something that usually comes up, feelings of abandonment. Um, and those things are something that challenges our notion that union always exists within us. Now, going back to what I was saying about the masculine and feminine becoming more balanced within us, if our belief system is constantly focused on separation, then it's difficult to even have that inner union. And of course, then you project that. This is likely what is going to be triggered for you, or what is activated, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. The moon is at play here too, right? Venus conjunct the moon. How we love and our emotional connection to love is getting triggered by these things. Saturn as well. Saturn is our limitations. When Venus is an aspect to Saturn, and an in conjunction tends to be considered more of a hard aspect because there's something that's not in alignment with an in conjunction. These planets aren't understanding each other, right? So, for example, Venus is in Cancer, a water sign, a very emotional sign. Saturn's in Aquarius, a very detached air sign that um, doesn't easily connect with the emotional self. So when Venus is an aspect to Saturn, there's again a feeling of not feeling loved, not feeling worthy, feeling like maybe people are judging you, giving your power away in love. So this, we're being shown this is affecting ideas of union. Same thing with Uranus and Venus making the in conjunction to union. It's like we've got to change. We've got to change how we think about love, how we think about union, how we think about the masculine and feminine together. This 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 These yods are very much focused on the divine feminine parts of ourselves because we have Venus, the moon, Ceres, and Isis as part of this, which are all divine feminine energies or planets that represent the divine feminine. So yeah, this is going to bring activations to surrender, negative coping mechanisms, especially things around codependency that um, may still be a block to union. Another thing that's likely to be coming up is letting down your guard. Remember, Venus is in Cancer as well as the moon. The moon is the ruler of Cancer. That's the house and sign that represents those emotional patterns that we develop, has a way of self-protection. So we need to release, we need to possibly be triggered or have some kind of understanding, clarification around how we're not coming out of our shell, we're not communicating ourselves enough, we're not being free, we're still afraid to be vulnerable. And Uranus is that change agent. So this is going to be a big agent for change, heading into the summer solstice energies. And the last thing I want to mention is Mars is moving into Leo as well on June 11th. So that's the day after the new moon. So this will be a change for our Mars divine masculine energy, which has been in Cancer and is coming out of an opposition with Pluto. So some of you might have felt your divine masculines in a dark night of the soul type energy, or again, things from the past being triggered around that. But with the move to Leo, this Mars energy should be more lighthearted. And this is also a sign where Mars is more apt to go after its passion. Mars isn't really comfortable in the sign of Cancer. And Mars tends to be more guarded, more on the passive aggressive side in Cancer. And so there's a little bit more of like a freeing energy and a more, passionate energy. So I think I covered everything that I want to talk about. We're getting very close to the summer solstice now, which is really exciting. I'm feeling the summer solstice is going to really be, as I mentioned, that impetus to the new things, the new changes that we're trying to manifest in our life. If you would like personal reading with me, I do tarot readings, astrology readings, and um, QHHT, past life regression sessions. Seems to be a lot of confusion lately because people are not finding my services on my website. I think I've mentioned before that under services, I have a drop down tab. And that's where you can find more details about my astrology readings and my tarot readings. And QHHT sessions or past life regressions, I do them in person and online. That's not listed under services. If you kind of search that on my site, you'll come up with some details for it. And you can message me. There's a contact form on my website if you're interested in more details about that. So, yeah, I am still doing readings for people, although I do have a little bit of a wait right now. If you ordered the Twin Flame Oracle, the Intuit Twin Flame Oracle deck that I authored from the Kickstarter, okay, they should be shipping out soon. So you should have received a survey to send us some details. So just check that out if you haven't done that yet, and make sure that we have the address to send them to you. And yeah, they are being printed now, and hopefully we are going to have them in stock and for sale very soon, probably just after the summer solstice, I'm imagining, because like I said, that's going to be an important shift for all of us. So thank you so much for watching. If you're experiencing any of the things I talked about, please leave me a comment and let me know. If this video resonated, please leave me a thumbs up. I'm sending you all a lot of love, and I'll speak to you soon.